Hey, I hope you all are doing amazing. We are just going to go over what you did yesterday and yesterday's assignment, excuse me, because I saw some like common mistakes, but we're just going to go over it because this lesson is mainly about listening to a Holocaust survivor's story. And I'll get into that later, but everything that you learned here, you're going to be seeing it throughout Irene's story. So you'll see like how things slowly progressed into phase four. So the final solution, you're going to be hearing this term again, but the final solution was Hitler's way of like solving the Jewish problem because apparently having Jews on earth and mentally ill people on earth and disabled people on earth was a problem to him. So it was a plan for him to get rid of the problem. How is he going to get rid of the problem? By exterminating them, aka killing them, right? So he wanted to implement the solution in different phases. So that's why we have the different phases of the final solution. So in phase one, things were like Jews were basically being stripped of like their power, slowly but surely. So they couldn't hold positions in like civil office, like it says here, legal profession, teaching professions. And that's just a way, like when you take things like that away from people, you are stripping them of their power. And then once you continue to do it, like in phase two, where like the Jews, their businesses were taken from them and people were boycotting their businesses, you are making them powerless so that when you want to do what you want to do, what can they say? What can they do if they don't have any power? So that's basically phase one. And also in this phase, Jews were restricted from attending German high schools and universities, as you see here on the bottom, just to keep them segregated. Phase two, like I mentioned already, the Jewish businesses, they weren't really getting a lot of money because people were boycotting them. So when you boycott, you basically say, "Hey, we're not going to buy your things anymore for whatever reason." Usually, people boycott for like a good reason, to like promote what they believe in. But usually, it's something positive. But here, it was for no good reason. Clearly, um, here we also see that the Nuremberg laws were passed. These were specific laws, like real laws that were passed that stripped Jews of their power. So denied Jews the right to German citizenship, forbade marriage between Germans and Jews, etc. And here you see that anti-Semitic laws were passed. We learned what anti-Semitic was already. Um, Basically anything against Jews in general. But I want to I want us to focus on the fact that these were real laws, you guys. So imagine having a law like that in America right now. For example, if Hispanics were not allowed to marry outside of their race, right? And most of you all identify as being Hispanic. So how would you imagine how you would feel, right? Like that's crazy. Like why can I not marry outside of my race? Like what's wrong with marrying another race? What's wrong with my race, right? So think about that like in the real world if something like this were to happen. It's pretty crazy. Okay, phase 3 is when things started really getting bad for Jews. It was marked by violence, like it says here. Jews were sent to, it doesn't say here, but we learned in another lesson that Jews were sent to ghettos and then they were transferred to concentration camps. You're going to see it in Irene's story about how that happened. But in 1935, basically going from ghettos to concentration camps, this is where they started implementing like identification cards and like wearing the star and all of that because they wanted to be able to identify the Jews from the Germans, right? Because they don't want to kill their own people. They just want to kill the Jews because they believe that they are inferior to them, right? They believe that their race shouldn't be on this planet, that their race, their German race was superior. It was like the best for whatever reason.